Tremors from the biggest earthquake Japan has ever recorded were felt in the country's parliament in Tokyo. The Prime Minister spoke to the nation almost immediately.
It was a very strong earthquake, and in the Tohoku region, mainly and over a wide area, damage has been inflicted. I offer my deepest sympathy to the people who have suffered the disaster.
United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon said the UN will do anything and everything to help Japan after the earthquake. He said the UN would do all it could to mobilize humanitarian assistance.
The world is shocked and saddened by the images coming from Japan this morning. On behalf of the United Nations, I want to express my deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences to the Japanese people and government, and most especially those who lost family and friends in the earthquake and subsequent tsunami. Japan is one of the most generous and strongest benefactors, coming to the assistance of those in need the world over. In that spirit, the United Nations stands by the people of Japan, and we will do anything and everything we can at this very difficult time. We will be watching closely as the aftershocks are felt across the Pacific and Southeast Asia throughout the day. I sincerely hope that under the leadership of Prime Minister Kan Naoto and the full support and solidarity of the international community, Japanese people and government will be able to overcome this difficult time as soon as possible.
Now we're joined here in the studio by Valerie Amos, the United Nations Head for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief. Valerie Amos, so Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, says every effort is going to be made to help Japan. What is the United Nations doing at this stage?
Well, we have over 72 search and rescue teams on standby to assist Japan. Japan have said to us that for the time being they will accept help from the United States, from New Zealand, Australia and from the Republic of Korea. We have to remember that regrettably this is a country that has had a lot of experience at this. They have put a lot of preparedness measures in place. Over 900 people have already been sent to the area from within Japan itself. So they are the ones who are in control of this, and they will let us know what they need.
And apparently they have asked for assistance, obviously, haven't they? I mean, a country like this, as you say, Japan, that is relatively well prepared, it can do a lot, but presumably when the catastrophe is on such a large scale, it's inevitably going to be asking for outside help.
Well, obviously, I mean, the scale and depth of this is something that they've not experienced before. And I am really worried that if you look across the world, we are seeing with these disasters and environmental crises, they're deeper, the scale of them is much, much greater now than it has been over the last few years. It's really testing our capacity. It's testing the capacity of countries, but it's testing the capacity of the international community to respond. And
Valerie Amos, the initial hours in the rescue effort are the most crucial, aren't they?
Absolutely critical, and that's why preparedness measures, local communities knowing exactly what to do, the local authorities supporting those communities, it's those communities that save lives initially. This disaster and the scale of it, the number of people who've lost their lives, clearly looking at those pictures on our television screens, there is going to be a lot more to be done over the next few days.
And what are the main challenges then in trying to ensure that those people who can be rescued, because there are hundreds missing, what are the main challenges in your view?
Well, obviously speed. You want to get to these people as quickly as possible. What we know is that transport links are out, electricity is out, gas is out, so they're dealing with an incredibly difficult situation. And with the tsunami warnings across the region, we won't know until about 12 o'clock GMT tomorrow what is actually happening elsewhere. Those tiny little Pacific islands. I've heard that Midway Island in the Pacific, that they had some pretty large waves, but other islands have stood down their alerts. It's moving towards the South American coast. Colombia are looking at their own warning systems, so it's not just Japan, it's the whole region.
Okay, Valerie Amos.
Well, dozens of countries have already offered to help the Japanese. The United Nations says Japan has just requested help from some international search and rescue teams. Here, the Queen has sent a message to Japan's Emperor to express her sadness at the loss of life. And President Obama and David Cameron also extended their sympathies to the people of Japan.
Had a terrible reminder of the destructive power of nature, and everyone should be thinking of that country and their people, and I've asked immediately that our government should look at what we can do to help.
In response to this catastrophe, the world has stepped in with offers of help. Search and rescue teams from 45 countries are on standby. President Obama described the images coming out of Japan as heartbreaking and offered any assistance necessary. Our North America editor Mark Mardell has more now on this outpouring of international support.
Japan is one of the richest countries on Earth, but even so it will need help overcoming a disaster of this magnitude. With an airport underwater, cars and planes scattered like toys, they need heavy lifting equipment. President Obama has promised to help.
The images of destruction and flooding coming out of Japan are simply heartbreaking. On behalf of the American people, I conveyed our deepest condolences, especially the victims and their families, and I offered our Japanese friends whatever assistance is needed.
The President was woken at 4 in the morning to be told of the disaster. He seems more comfortable taking the lead on this than he has over Libya. A US aircraft carrier is based in Japan, along with 38,000 American troops. Now he's sent another aircraft carrier and 4 other ships, including the 7th Fleet's command vessel. The US military has had practice. There was a big mission after the earthquake in Haiti. Obama is determined the world should see the US use its immense power for more than just fighting wars. The UN can offer sympathy, but not battalions.
We will do anything and everything we can at this very difficult time. We will be watching closely as the aftershocks are felt across the Pacific and Southeast Asia throughout the day.
Under San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, an unfamiliar surge of water. The west coast of America was braced for the worst as giant waves headed across the Pacific. People were told to get to high ground. So far, several ships and docks have been smashed. The first concerns are about Hawaii. 7-foot-high waves came ashore, but there seems to have been little damage.
The Japanese people are such close friends of ours, and I have such a close personal friendship and connection to the Japanese people, in part because I grew up in Hawaii, where I was very familiar with Japanese culture. That just makes our concerns that much more acute.
The President said this tragedy was a reminder that ultimately humanity is one, and that Japan will come back stronger than ever with help from its friends.
Now, the charity Médecins Sans Frontières has sent an assessment team to the city of Sendai, and their General Director, Eric Wallace, joins me live on the phone. Eric, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about the situation there, first of all?
Well, the first news we got was 2 hours ago, and they reached Sendai, and they were dispatched in evacuation center, coordinated by Japanese relief forces there. Tomorrow they will try to reach other areas, probably the most worst affected in outside Sendai, and we will be in a position to give more information at this stage. The first thing we got is that the most essential needs are food, water, and shelter and blankets. Not really medical needs, as they are already covered by the relief efforts already in place. But we've sent a team of 6 people, mainly doctors, surgeons, anesthetists, emergency room doctors and surgeons, plus a nurse and a logisticians to assist the efforts there. And we have another 25 persons in standby in Tokyo, ready to leave tomorrow with helicopters.
And what type of medical issues are they having to face there?
Too early to say, madam. They are at present. They are just entering the evacuation centers and the hospitals where patients are being treated. We didn't hear anything about the medical the medical conditions of the people. What we know is that there is a lot of people without shelter going to the evacuation centers, and that's it for the moment.
Who are you working with? Because obviously this is a coordinated effort. What other agencies go along with you?
For the moment, it's going very well. We've been really welcomed by the authorities there. It's been coordinated by the prefecture, Miyagi Prefecture, and the city of Sendai, as well as the emergency teams that have been sent there. So there is a coordination mechanism in place, and we are fully inside this coordination mechanism. Our teams in the ground are cooperating with the doctors there and other professionals in Sendai.
There has been a call for international help, and indeed Britain has just announced it's sending help as well. From what you're hearing and seeing, how much help is going to be needed to get Japan through this period?
Again, it's very difficult because the last 48 hours we tried to collect a lot of information, but it's been very tough because access by road was difficult, access by air was difficult. We struggled to find helicopters to get there, and very little information arrived here in Tokyo. So we are waiting for the team to look around, to be able to access a little bit more in the north, to be in a position to give that kind of information. It's a bit early still to say that.
In the scale of disasters that you have had to face and operations that you have had to undertake, just how difficult is this one?
It's not easy at all. Roads are blocked again. So we've reached a little bit south of Sendai, and then we hired a car to reach Sendai. And then tomorrow, daylight, we will try to go outside Sendai and go a little bit more north and closer to the coast to see the extent of the damage. The team reported having seen being completely washed out, completely destroyed in many different places, difficulties to access Sendai. It took them almost 2 hours to drive for 30 kilometers. Many people again in the street and trying to reach the different shelters organized.
Eric Wallace from Médecins Sans Frontières, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, Achi Sadamatsu is Chief Operations Officer for the charity and relief organisation Save the Children and is on the line now from Tokyo. Has your work already begun?
Yes, we are in a close contact with Save the Children International, and we are sending a team of 2 staff down to the Miyagi Prefecture, that is quite close to the epicenter of the earthquake. And also we are get in touch with Japanese Red Cross Society and also other like-minded NGOs who are ready to provide support to the earthquake-affected population, disaster-affected populations. And our basic strategy is to collaborate with those other relief agencies, which is more sort of focused on the general relief operations, where Save the Children Japan, as being child rights-focused NGO, we'd like to provide more children-focused services. Just to give you an example, we have a proven sort of experience of establishing what we call child-friendly space, where children can be protected and can feel relaxed and play with the peers, so that they can maintain the psychological stability even during the time of the disaster or on the occasion of the relief camp. And certainly this is good for children, but also this helps parents to be somehow relieved from their burden of looking after children in a chaotic situation under such a very stressful situation. Since our staff and volunteers is going to look after their children, now the parents will be ready to start thinking of other than just immediately protecting or taking care of the children, but about sort of collecting some necessary items needed for their own survival, or start getting in touch with their relatives and friends and so on. So this is a kind of approach that we are trying to apply this time.
Aichi Sadamatsu, thank you very much.